In the 12th century, China was divided into two rival dynasties, the Song in the south and the Jin in the north. The Song dynasty, threatened by the North's expansion, began a decades-long warfare. In this video, we'll closely examine how their respective naval forces determined who won the war. It all began in 1125, when the Song dynasty, under the reign of the Emperor Huzong, formed an unsettling alliance with the Jin dynasty to overthrow a mutual enemy, the Liao dynasty, a portion of northern China. Fueled by mutual interest and the desire for victory, both sides succeeded in their goal, and soon the Liao dynasty came crumbling down. But along with it was the Song and Jin dynasties' hollow alliance. The Jin dynasty, emboldened by their victory and unquenching hunger to gain more territories, turned their sight towards southern China. Now, having gained more land and power by the defeat of the Liao dynasty, they began demanding that the Song dynasty pay tribute to them or become ravaged and ultimately destroyed. Naturally, the South refused, fearing what would come of their subordination to the North's dominance. Instead of willingly giving up their lands and customs, they chose war. However, victory wouldn't come as easy as they imagined. By 1127, the northern Jin forces had sacked the South's Song capital, Kaifeng, as an event remembered as the Jing-Kang incident. Emperor Quinzong, ruler of the Song dynasty, was overthrown and captured, and the rest of his court was sent into exile. The degrading event marked a period of great humiliation for the South. However, retribution soon came, riding the waves of the Yangtze River. Its waters became a prominent battlefield that marked the beginning of Retaliation. The Song dynasty, isolated deeply in the south, relied heavily on its naval forces to defend its territories. The Jin dynasty, on the other hand, came in full force with a domineering power that sought to overcome Song's navy, its other armed forces, and ultimately its leaders. The banner they raised in war sought to unify China under one rule, but no such aspiration came without a fight. When the war began, the Song dynasty's navy was more technologically advanced, an engineering marvel for its time. At its cores were paddle wheel ships, designed for agility and speed, although powered by human effort. Its propulsion system consisted of two large paddle wheels on either side, enabling it to navigate through strong river currents. These paddle-wheeled warships were perfect for the narrow rivers and swift currents of southern China waters. Built with a sturdy wooden hull reinforced with iron plating, the ship could withstand volleys of arrows and light projectile attacks. Unlike conventional oared ships, the paddle-wheel design freed up space for plenty of soldiers and weapons. The deck of the ship bristled with weapons. There were trebuchets capable of hurtling incendiary bombs and heavy stones, crossbows and gunpowder-fired arrows. These were basically small rockets capable of lighting enemy vessels like fireworks on New Year's Eve. Additionally, the deck had a firing platform for crossbowmen. The ship's offensive systems was complemented by its defensive features. Iron-spiked barricades along its side to deter enemy boarding attempts, and fireproof coating of lacquer to make incendiary projectiles futile. They were also reinforced with iron plates to withstand enemy projectiles. One of the Song's paddle wheels, referred to at the time as the Dragon of Yangtze, served as a backbone in the southern Song's riverine fleet. With its unique propulsion system, it had unmatched speed and maneuverability. These factors were critical in the South's defense against the invading North Jin forces. The Song dynasty lay south of the Yangtze River. For the North to take over, they had to cross this river, which became a major battleground. A significant engagement involving northern and southern China's naval forces occurred during the Battle of Huangchai-dang. This battle was a part of a larger scheme of the North Jin forces to penetrate deeper into southern Song territories. Under the command of Wan Yangzhongbi, the northern naval forces took a bold step to capture key positions along the Yangtze River. This would disrupt Song supply lines and establish a sort of foothold in the south. The southern Song navy, led by General Han Xizong, wouldn't let that happen. Han, a seasoned commander, deployed a fleet of paddle-wheeled warships to intercept Jin forces in their attempt to cross the Yangtze River. As the Jin fleet approached, Han ordered the paddle-wheeled ships to form a line with their trebuchets ready for action. The battle unfolded in a narrow stretch of the river where the agility and firepower of the paddle-wheel ships was at its peak. Jin's naval fleet, on the other end, relied on slower, flat-bottomed ships, a significant disadvantage for the waters they steered in. And so it was an easy win for the Song. They launched their trebuchets, and a relentless barrage of incendiary attacks hit several Jin ships, setting them ablaze and throwing them into chaos that set their formation in disarray. The Jin fleet suffered a devastating loss at Huangshandang. Nearly half of their vessels were destroyed and captured by the south. While Song's paddle-wheeled warships had speed and maneuverability that helped it win, it didn't come without disadvantages. For instance, its reliance on human-powered propulsion was a significant setback that limited its operational endurance. It would mean the end if the paddling crew ever got exhausted from their exercise due to prolonged engagements. The size of the ship was another thing. This made it vulnerable in shallow and narrow waters, restricting its maneuverability. Moreover, while the ship's iron plating provided some protection, it was not impervious to sustained bombardments or advanced weaponry. The North noticed these weaknesses and would come to make an uncanny alliance that tipped the scales of battle. By the early 13th century, the Jin dynasty invited the Mongols to join in their campaign against the south. At first, the alliance appeared beneficial. The Mongols, an empire way advanced for its time, provided them with unparalleled cavalry and siege expertise. Together they launched devastating raids into the southern Song dynasty, capturing border towns and disrupting supply lines. But this was a calculated alliance for the Mongols. They had a plan to unify all of China, and they began by capturing the stronghold with their supposed ally. The betrayal of the Mongols was not sudden, but rather a gradual and calculated shift. They exploited Jin's resources and intelligence while pretending to fight for their cause. The leader of the Mongols, Genghis Khan, and his successor, Ogedai Khan, orchestrated campaigns to weaken Jin's hold over the northern territory. By 1234, the Jin dynasty was conquered. In a bitter irony, the Song briefly allied with the Mongols to crush the Jin dynasty. Jin's emperor, Heizong, committed suicide to avoid capture, and the Mongols became rulers of northern China. However, their quest was far from over. For both the Jin and Song dynasties, their alliance with the Mongols proved to be a fatal miscalculation. What started out as a partnership of convenience ended in total subjugation. In 1279, the Mongols took control of both the northern and southern dynasties, unifying China under their rule. They formed the Yuan dynasty. Under the Yuan dynasty, the Mongols recognized the limitations of their historical land-based military operations and turned to Chinese shipbuilders and maritime experts to craft a naval force that could assert their dominance in coastal battles. This ushered in an era of large-scale construction of more durable ships capable of venturing into open waters. The junks, an iconic Chinese ship design, became the backbone of China's fleet. These vessels were renowned for their compartmentalized hulls, which reduced the risk of the ship sinking even when damaged. Junks of the 1300s were equipped with multiple sails made of strong, flexible bamboo that allowed maneuverability. Armed with traction trebuchets, the ship was able to launch attacks over long range, and gunpowder weaponry was also introduced. In 1315, the Yuan dynasty would get the opportunity to test its naval advances. In the Battle of Guangzhou Bay, the Yuan Navy clashed with a group of Southeast Asian pirates who had been raiding Chinese coastal settlements, pilfering essential supplies. The Yuan army, with their compartmentalized junks, launched firebombs from their trebuchets at the enemy, sinking their ships, overwhelming the pirates and asserting dominance over its coastal waters. Despite the advantages the Navy made during this century, their war junks had flaws. While they excelled pretty well in riverine and coastal environments, their reliance on oarsmen to steer the heavy ship greatly limited their speed and maneuverability in open water. As the common phrase says, nothing lasts forever. All things good and evil must end, and so did the Yuan dynasty. 1368, after years of struggle to stay in power, the Yuan dynasty fell, overthrown by a Chinese rebel leader who established the Ming dynasty. The Mongols were driven out of Beijing, China's capital. The 1400s marked a golden age for Chinese naval innovations, shaped by the vision of Emperor Yongle and brought to life by his admiral Zhang He. Determined to protect the might and prestige of the Ming dynasty, Yongle ordered the construction of treasure ships, which were built between 1405 and 1433. These ships set a new standard for naval engineering. These treasure ships, or Bao Xuan as they were called, were massive, measuring up to 400 feet in length and 160 feet in width, making them some of the largest wooden vessels ever constructed. Their hulls were made of high-quality teak and reinforced with iron nails, built to withstand the rigors of long voyages across treacherous seas. A further evolution of the watertight compartments introduced in earlier centuries made these ships exceptionally durable. The compartments minimalized the risk of flooding during battles and allowed the vessel to carry vast amounts of cargo. Despite their size, the treasure ships were remarkably agile. Up to 9 towering masts, equipped with bamboo and canvas sails, harnessed the wind's power, while advanced sternpost rudders aided steering with precision. On their decks, rows of bronze cannons gleamed, lethal weapons capable of unleashing devastating barrages against enemy vessels. Alongside these cannons, the treasure ships carried fire lances and primitive gunpowder weapons that hurled flaming projectiles. This new technological naval advancement was tested during the Battle of Kylon in 1411, one of the most pivotal encounters in Zheng He's voyages. The Ming fleet, led by the treasure ships and supported by agile escort junks, faced off against the fleet of the Kingdom of Kote. Although they were outnumbered, the Ming Navy's superiority in both technology and strategy turned the tide of the battle. From their elevated decks, the treasure ships unleashed volleys of cannon fire, splintering enemy vessels and gaining victory. The junk ships of the 1300s, powered by oars and outfitted with traction trebuchets for hurtling projectiles, were effective but slow and constrained to inland waters. By contrast, the 1400s brought ships powered by wind and equipped with rudders that allowed for more excellent maneuverability on the open seas. But that wasn't all. Weaponry also evolved in tandem with ship design. The 1300s had seen reliance on fire arrows and traction trebuchets, but the 1400s ushered in gunpowder weapons. Mounted bronze cannons became the centerpiece of naval firepower, capable of engaging enemies at distance and delivering devastating blows. The throwable gunpowder bombs added another layer of lethality to the ship's design. Defensive innovations included ironclad decks and advanced bulkheads. By the close of the 1400s, China's navy had undergone a remarkable transformation. From an excusable navy fleet of wooden war junks to the treasure ships of the Ming Dynasty, China's naval fleet evolved into a maritime powerhouse. As the century 1400s came to an end, what had begun as internal conflict and threats blossomed into a resounding innovation that would go on to leave echoes throughout history. If you loved this video and would enjoy listening to more like it, then you're in the proper harbor. Drop a like, subscribe, and check out other videos on this channel for more content like this. While you're at it, hit the post notification bell so you never miss out on our upcoming videos. See you in the next one.